Good morning, and welcome to the Rick Helps Real Estate Show, where we try to sort out the Arizona real estate market with our cups of coffee, a couple of charts, and a splash of news. So I hope everybody's having a great day and had a fantastic weekend. I went to Karshner Caverns for a couple days last week. It's down in Benson, Arizona. If you haven't been there, it's just incredible. This is a picture here of some of the what do they call them? Stalactites and stalagmites. This one here is 6 stories tall, but I mean, it is a feast for the eyes. If you haven't been there, they've got a great RV camp spot down there, and they also have cabins. So a lot of fun. The weather was great. Found out that the inside the caverns is a constant 71 degrees and very humid. So it was kind of sticky. It was like Florida. So it was quite an interesting weekend. So what's happening today? It's interesting as we look at. I came out with a video last night talking about summer. What do I think the summer market's going to be? Because the closer we get to summer, the easier it is to predict what's going to happen. But we're finally starting to see some movement in the numbers, and the movement is looking like it's happening quicker than we thought it was. And I'm going to show you a couple charts here, and I'm going to show you what we're talking about. And the first thing that comes up is, according to Cromford Report, supply has been arriving in greater quantities over the past few weeks. This applies to both rentals and for sale listings. Now, rentals have nothing to do with the spike in interest rates. That's kind of interesting. The most dramatic rises are in rentals. There were 2,550 new rental listings being created the last 4 weeks, which is up 45% from the same 4 weeks last year. Now, rentals don't normally always show up on the MLS. People tend to put them on Zillow, Craigslist. And if you do put them on Craigslist, be careful. If you're shopping for a rental on Craigslist, be careful. If it looks really good, it's too good to be true. That's why on some listing photos, you'll see some text on there that says for sale, not for rent. A lot of scammers on Craigslist. Coffee code break. Thoughts on taxes rising? Well, they'll go up. They're not going to shock you like they are in places like Washington State, New York, and Massachusetts. So they will go up. How much? I don't know. I believe we have a 5% cap. Good morning, Jackie. Residential for sales listings added over the last 28 days, 10,476, up from 10,387 last year. That's not even a 1% increase. But year to date, where we've seen 40,198 down from 40,580 last year. The problem for the market is that this extra supply is coming as demand is dropping fast, and you'll see that on my next chart. So what they're showing is they've jumped 27% in the past 4 weeks. This is even faster than we experienced in April 2005. Ooh, that's a scary percentage. Even though the absolute number remains small, if this growth rate persists through May and June, the market will be very different in July. Haven't seen increases like this since 2005, and we all know what happened in 2006. We ended up with, I think it was 2006 or 7, 65,000 active listings. And today we have 6,500. So digest that for just a moment. And here we are in a 7-day moving average. And what it means, the blue lines here are the number of listings that are coming on over the past 7 days. The red line is the number of homes that come under contract. Now, if you saw my video that I put out last night, it's still playing this morning. What I was pointing out was you can't have a price reduction when over 82% of the homes that are coming on are going under contract. That's the biggest takeaway from this simple little graph here. So you've got this many in the blue and this many in the red. That means 82% of the listings that are coming on are getting sold. So until that number changes, and the only way it's going to change is a growth in listings to where that gap widens. So right now the gap is not very big. The green line here is the lowest we've ever seen in sales since it's been tracking, which was 2,700 contracts a week, and we're floating around 3,700 right now. Now price changes have gone up. People are heading up pretty quick, getting out saying, well, I didn't get what I wanted for that house. Better lower it. So what's the big picture look on active listings right now? Well, here we are, 6,027. This is from week 18, which was last week, April 30th. And so it's on its way up. So they're projecting at 27% that we may be up here. So I kind of took that to myself here on this graph, and it's real small and hard to read here, but I said, okay, if in April we had 4,760, in May we had 6,027. Yep, that's a 27% increase. So I applied that for the next 3 months. And by July, it's showing we could have 12,346 listings if that trend continues. That would put us up to about here, which would be May 16th, week 20 in the year 2020. Now, comparing 2020 is kind of rough because, we were all in lockdown. Things were really out of whack. Sales were really picking up. I think contracts were running about 4,400 a week during this little period here where the listings were coming down. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens when we get up to, 12,000 listings and sales remain low. Jackie says, I'm actually surprised, though, more would stay put with so many having refied unless people are acting quick because they want to move and think they're a better hurry before rates go higher. I think it's kind of a combination of the two. I think there were people that were planning on selling this summer, and then so there's a few more listings coming on, but they're sticking more. They're staying on there because nobody's out buying them at the rate that they were, but it's still, 82% is a pretty hefty number. Even when you get down to 50%, I think that might be still put some pricing pressure on. Do you think maybe when the sticker shock quiets down and buyers realize homes available, they come back? I think, what's different about this, and I like reading a calculated risk. This gentleman that writes a real estate blog, and what he said is don't compare this market to 2007, 2008. Compare it to 1980, 81, or 78 to 80. And I think he's right. That's when interest rates started making their huge spike up. I'm going to have my coffee here. And prices were going up. Then they started going down. Looks like we're going to have the similar pattern. And back then, there was huge demand. Why? I was in my late 20s, early 30s. We were baby boomers. We wanted a house. So we didn't really care what you had to go through to get into the doggone place. There was demand. And demand fueled all the growth. And away we went. And I think you're going to see that same thing now. The difference between now and the crash 2008 was back then, there weren't anybody saying, well, I'm going to wait for this whole thing to fall apart and I'm going to get in. There was everybody saying, if we don't get in now, we can never get in. Now we've got people thinking that crashes are reoccurring events, even though I've seen one in my lifetime, but they're waiting. So I think, Jackie, you may be right that if we do see some kind of dip in pricing and if we get any kind of relief in interest rates, I think people are lined up waiting to get in. But right now, incomes have to be up 38% versus what they were last year in order for you to qualify for the same percentage of houses, same house. So it's going to be very, very interesting times. But again, it's hard to predict where we're going to be in a year or two. Now, what's going on? The Fed's playbook is already out for next week, and rates have already reacted. This is showing a national average of 5.41%. And your lender will be different. But basically what they're saying in this article is, hey, look, the Federal Reserve has already telegraphed what they're going to do. They're going to raise either 50 to 0.75 basis points on Wednesday. And so it's already baked in the cake. But this article goes on to say, along with the big rate cut, the Fed was also buying mortgage debt and treasuries at the fastest pace ever. This bond buying made rates even lower. They said, and they've never done this before, we need to spur some inflation here. We want to be at 2% because we were running negative. So they wanted to get some more inflation. That's not the Fed's job, but they jumped in and did it. And you can see, because here was the core inflation as of August 2020, down negative, and then it was 1.7. So they weren't really worried too much that inflation was getting out of control. And then look what happened. Core inflation, August 21, 4%. Oops. And then now 6.5 and 8. Oops. We better trim it back. And Trimming back is what they're doing right now. Talamer says people are living in February and thinking they get a crazy price for their home. Inventory will quickly level off and shrink this summer. That's where I think the price reductions are coming from. I don't think it's a price decrease, this year versus last year. It's, ooh, I thought I could get this. And I think you're right when you're saying February. I still have a hard time changing my 2.7 for a 5% smack, you're right. And I think that's why a lot of people are going to stay put. But there's still a percentage of people, for whatever reason, have to move. And I want to remind you, if you do have to move and you're moving to another part of the country, hit me up. I can put you in contact with some good realtors. We have a really strong referral network, and I'll call them and interview them for you so that you know who you're getting into business with. This is 30-year fixed mortgage rates. When you look at, move my mug here, historically, here's the 80s. See how broad that recession was in the 80s? This is when Paul Volcker spiked them up to here. Spiked the football, 18%. Swallow that for a minute. And then it just kind of started creeping down for decades. Here's 2008. Things fell apart. Rates dropped down here, dropped again. Now they've spiked up. In comparison to where we were, we're still below 6%. So there are people that are older than dirt going, well, that's not bad. But that's where we're at. So he's saying watch 78 to 80 in comparison when you're looking at real estate versus watching 2008, because it's a different animal. D. Jones says it's a rough market because not only is the housing market so hot right now, but the economy's bad. Gas prices are horrible, groceries expensive. Nothing's got to give. Something's got to give. But I don't know when. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, especially gas. You see me at a gas station, I'm easy to spot. I'm sobbing. I'm chuckling about it, but it's not funny. It's definitely hurt a lot of people. Does that mean it's too late to sell my 1,800 square foot Chandler home for $1 million? Yeah, you're off by 4 weeks. Difference between now and the 80s is, the difference between now and the 80s, I think demographically we have the same demand. So in the 80s, a pool of people, baby boomers. And then the pool of buyers we have now, the millennials, relatively the same. Same dynamics there. The difference between now and the 80s is I don't think the Fed's going to have to clamp down as hard as Paul Volcker did. So I'm hoping we don't get up to double-digit interest rates. So, that's speculation. I don't know. Here's an interesting thing I saw. I looked at coming soons this morning on the MLS, and they spiked like 1,300 coming soon listings. And it's really bizarre. And what I noticed was I thought, well, there's those 3-day people going again, and they're out there. But there's a lot of modular homes. The snowbirds have left, so time to sell those homes. And there's just a ton of coming soon. But I bumped into this, and I wanted to share this with you. Oh, Loss Mitigation says, continue homes in the 80s, 2.5 annual salary. Now they're 5.5 to 6 to the annual salary. Yeah, that's been going on for a long time. I mean, you could buy a home with just one person working back then. I think my wage when I bought my home was $18,000. And so now, those of you, I'm going to move this over here a second. Those of you that requested a home valuation from us over the weekend, the site was down for maintenance yesterday. There were a handful of you that wanted to do that. Hoping they've got it back up and running today so we can get it for you. So if you want a really detailed report on your home, just send me an email with your address and we'll run that report for you. But here's something interesting. I ran one on a home I know because I used to own it. On Zillow, said it's worth $838,000. So I started crying once again. Redfin, $789,000, same house. Realtor.com, $774,000. So when you look at online evaluations, take them with a grain of salt. The one that Pat and I run shows you an estimate, because remember, I haven't been in your kitchen, and then it breaks down what has sold in your neighborhood, and it shows you the trends and stuff. And anyway, getting back to this listing I got, this really surprised me. This here it's not a house. It's an online supplement company. I didn't know that you could list an online business on the MLS. Oh, thanks, Jackie. Jackie, did you know that you could sell a supplement company on the MLS? And they're saying operated online, not brick and mortar. Meetings to discuss will be agreed upon at a location in Mesa. That just sounds kind of, psst, we're going to meet later behind the bashes. I thought that was pretty unusual. Did not know that was possible. So then they're asking $50,000 for it, but they're not listing what the income is. So that's kind of weird. And Smack says, can we get a 2022 annual appreciation prediction from you? No. And I'm not being stubborn. It's just that I can't look out that far. I mean, I can guess, and I've been wrong. And you go back a couple videos, it was titled, I Was Wrong. It's just too hard to tell. There's a lot of moving parts between now and the end of the year that I'm just not going to get in the weeds with. Like CoreLogic, for crying out loud. They came out and said we were going to be down 6.6% in 2021, and they've got a team of economists. So little old Rick here looking at charts and looking at data, I can't get any closer than they were. Minimum wage in 1980 was $3.10 an hour. Now those same jobs are starting at $15. Wage inflation is happening. What was I making? Let's see. Well, I was driving a bread truck, so it was a salary plus commission. Prior to that, I was living in a small town in Forks, Washington, working in a grocery store, and I was raking in the money. I was killing it. I was making $4.45 an hour. And I think I went over to Seattle and started working for Albertsons, and I think I got a raise, and I got up to $4.60 an hour. And, well, thanks, Smack, that you trust me. Be careful. It just don't hang your hat on a number that somebody will spit out. And what I'll try to like to do on this channel is show you guys the numbers, and you can kind of make some inferences, and because of the numbers that you see. For example, right now 80% of the homes that are coming on every seven days are getting gobbled up. That tells you prices are going to keep going. You will start seeing some movement where that is going to change. Jackie says Class 7 and MLS business opportunity. All right, well, I'm going to go out and find some businesses to sell you. Some online goodies here. So 2022, as far as annual appreciation, you'll remember that in January and February, we were coming out with numbers that said, if this appreciation continues, we'll be up 39%. Now, nobody was predicting that we were going to be up 39%, but based on the appreciation numbers we saw all the way partway through March was kind of alarming. People jumped out of the gates pretty heavy in January, and because rates were still low, that's all tapered off. So we may see some negative numbers rolling in about the end of summer, and then the whole year will balance out. I'm really curious what it's going to look like around September and October. That's where's the rate going to be? That's the unknown. How hard is the central bank going to have to clamp down on rates? Nobody knows. They're trying to tell us, well, we're going to keep going up 50, 6 hikes. That's pretty rough. So we'll see what happens. We'll just kind of hang on to our hats here. And I know the luxury market's doing very well. And I say luxury, it's over $1 million. That depends on corporate earnings and the stock market, as a rule. Rex asked the question, what percentage of buyers are BlackRock and large institutions? Is that changing? I think we got up to almost 25-30% for a while there. So I haven't seen any data yet to see if that's changing. That kind of lags a little bit. I expect something to come out in the next few weeks. I hope it's changing. But you know what? There's still a lot more build-to-rent communities being built around here. That's not sucking up resale inventory, though. So that's just a whole different animal, and it's popular, and they're popping up all over the valley. Terry says, I started at Thriftway in 1966, $1.25 an hour. That's where I worked. I worked at Thriftway. Let's see, I worked at Thriftway in Port Angeles, Washington, and I was getting, what was I getting? I think $1.50. I was a carryout clerk. Although I read a name tag said I was a bag manipulating technician. So You might have been at the same Thriftway and we just didn't get along. So Terry and I are kind of from the same neck of the woods. So anyway, I hope everybody enjoyed that. I hope you found some information helpful. If I can help you in any way, be sure and shoot me an email at rick@rickhelps.com right after you smash the like button. And if you want to get a CMA for your house, that's comparative market analysis, include that in your email. The site should be up and running today, and we can get that right out to you. Everybody have a great Monday. Take on the rest of the week.